Dabo Swinney, I got you in. Those famous words by Syracuse head coach Fran Brown completely changed how Clemson's season was viewed in 2024. Because before Syracuse had upset Miami, it was looking like a fairly disappointing season for the Tigers, going 9-3, lost to Georgia, Louisville, South Carolina. But if it had not been for Syracuse upsetting Miami, Clemson does not make the ACC championship and they don't make the college football playoff. So one upset in a game they didn't even play in completely changed the perception of Clemson's season. Now the Tigers are loaded heading into 2025, and they shouldn't need help from Syracuse or anybody else to get back to the college football playoff. This Clemson team, guys, is absolutely loaded. Again, a fairly disappointing season last year, destroyed by Georgia, upset by Louisville at home, then losing to South Carolina in the season finale. It looked like they were going to struggle and miss the playoff again. They had not made it since 2020. They beat SMU in the SEC championship game in thrilling fashion, losing by 14 points on the road at Texas, actually holding their own against the Longhorns, maybe more than some of us thought. Now you take a look at this team coming back. This is a team that is a national title contender. Shouldn't be the last seed in the playoff. Very well could get one of those first-round byes because they're led by one of the best quarterbacks in the country, in Cade Klubnik, returning to Clemson after throwing for over 3,600 yards, 36 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, and rushing for over 460 yards and 7 touchdowns. So 43 total touchdowns for Klubnik last year. Had the chance to be even better now entering 2025. This offense averaged over 34 points per game last year, over 450 yards per game last year, and we mentioned 8 starters back. Klubnik not only is going to thrive, he's going to thrive even more so because he has his top 3 pass catchers returning. You've got Antonio Williams, Bryant Westco Jr., and TJ Moore. Those 3 players combining for 21 touchdown receptions. The running back core, yes, it hurts to lose a great guy like Phil Maffa, but freshman Gideon Davidson has a lot of potential, and the offensive line should be a lot better this year. And it wasn't because necessarily they were bad last year. They battled so many health issues and injuries and different combinations. Should be a lot stronger, a lot healthier, going to lead to even more production, not just for Cade Klubnik, but for the running game as well. Defensively, gonna be very, very strong. I love this Clemson defense. 9 starters are back with a new defensive coordinator in Tom Allen, who I think for many across the world of college football is a fan favorite. Very energetic, very passionate coach. It was fun to watch him as head coach at Indiana. Did a phenomenal job last year as defensive coordinator at Penn State. Now he comes to Clemson with a lot of talent. They only gave up 23 points per game last year, 374 yards per game, 161 on the ground. They've got to improve those rushing numbers, and I think they will. Why? Because first off, their top 2 tacklers return. Wade Woodaz and Sammy Brown both return in the linebacking core. Those 2 players combined for 176 tackles, 8 sacks, and 13.5 tackles for a loss. They also bring in Jeremiah Alexander to that linebacking core, transferring in from Alabama. So Dabo Swinney actually dipping into the transfer portal a little bit. Has typically been against it, doesn't really use it, but actually did so a little bit this year. The secondary is absolutely loaded. I think could be one of the best in the nation. Avion Terrell is back. Khalil Barnes returns. Those 2 guys going to anchor that secondary in the defensive line. That is arguably the strength of this defense. They are absolutely elite. I mean, literally one of the probably top 3 defensive lines in the country. TJ Parker returning with 11 sacks from last year. Peter Woods and DeMonte Capehart both return up front as well. And they add in Will Helt from Purdue. So once again, Swinney dipping into that transfer portal on the defensive side of the ball. They are deep. They are loaded. They are talented. They've got great leadership, not just at head coach, but defensive coordinator. This Clemson defense, I think, will be one of the best in the country. Pair that with, to me, the best quarterback in the country, and you've got the makings for a national title contender. But let's see if they will be, because in week 1, you're going to learn a lot about this Clemson team, right? Week 1 at home at night against LSU in the Tiger Bowl. The battle for Death Valley. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic matchup, and what I think is the matchup of 2 of the best quarterbacks, or 2, in my opinion, the 2 best quarterbacks in the country. Klubnik versus Garrett Nussmeier of LSU. This is, going to be a fantastic game. Start the day with Ohio State, Texas. End your day with LSU, Clemson. Going to be just electric. One thing you should note here, LSU, surprisingly, is 0-5 in their last 5 season openers. So they have not fared well at the beginning of the season for the last 5 years, and a couple of those under Brian Kelly, as we know. I look at this game and look, I like this LSU team a lot. I think their offense is going to be great, led by Nussmeier. I think their defense is going to improve significantly. They did improve last year. They're going to do so even more so this year. But to me, I still think Clemson owns that defensive edge, and I do have some concerns about the LSU offensive line. So a few questions up front against one of the best defensive lines in the country. Maybe might not bode well for LSU, maybe not giving Garrett Nussmeier enough time to deliver. So you've got the Clemson defensive edge. I think Clemson, you could argue, owns the offensive edge. You've got, again, an elite quarterback who can run the ball with his top 3 pass catch returning, plus home field advantage. I mean, to me, all signs point to Clemson winning this game. I mean, I do think it'll be close. I think it'll be very competitive because LSU is that good. But I don't think they have enough to come on the road to this Death Valley and win this game. Clemson, 1-0. Massive, massive win. Maybe a statement win over LSU. And it kind of, avenging what happened last year just from a season starting standpoint. They got destroyed by Georgia in that season opener. They actually ended the year with losses to SEC teams. They kind of get over that hump, beat a very quality SEC opponent in what should be a top 10 matchup. 1-0, make them 2-0 with a win over Troy. And we'll just go ahead and make them 4-0 with wins over Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Now, don't sleep on the Georgia Tech game. Do not sleep on that Georgia Tech game. That is a very big trap game against a Yellow Jacket squad that is the real deal. I mean, this is a veteran team with a very talented offense led by Haynes King at quarterback, assuming he can stay healthy. Jamal Haynes at running back, some really good wide receivers. I mean, this Georgia Tech team, if you're looking for a team that maybe could surprise you in the ACC, and they shouldn't surprise you as competitive as they were last year, but a team not named Clemson or Miami or SMU or something like that, look at Georgia Tech. Although last time here, Clemson did win 73-7. That was back in 2020. A lot has changed for both these programs. I like Brent Key's squad a lot. Georgia Tech averaged over 187 rushing yards per game last year. So I think you've got to watch out for that for Clemson. We talked about how strong or how bad their rushing defense was last year. If that hasn't been fixed, Tom Allen doesn't have that squad ready to go. The Yellow Jackets are going to have a field day against that front seven. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I like the Tigers' defense a lot more than Georgia Tech's. I think their offense can hang with them. Could be a fairly high-scoring game. Could be closer than they want. They will beat the Yellow Jackets, and I think they cruise past Syracuse at home, a Syracuse team that's going to take a bit of a step back after their 10-win season last year because they lose so much. So they're 4-0. They come out of their bye week on the road at North Carolina. This is an intriguing game to me, too, because if North Carolina starts, 4-0 or 3-1, this place is going to be rocking. I think it's going to be rocking, period. But you've got Bill Belichick in now. People are very excited about what the Tar Heels have to offer in 2025. They do have some talent. I really like the addition of Gio Lopez at quarterback. I think their defense can get there. Bill Belichick is a defensive-minded guy. I think he's going to build up this defense and develop a lot of talent. So you've got one of the best college head coaches in Dabo Swinney facing off against one of the best NFL head coaches of all time, and Bill Belichick. Should be a great, great matchup. Still like Clemson, though. Still like the Tigers to get this win. They've won 6 straight games over the Tar Heels. Both teams coming off a bye, so they are certainly well rested. But my question is, has North Carolina's defense improved enough to stop Cade Klubnik in this offense? They gave up over 375 yards per game last year. I know Belichick can develop them. Can he develop them that quickly in about a span of a month from the start of the season to now? I don't think so. Maybe it's a little bit closer than they want it to be, kind of like that Georgia Tech game, but I do think the Tigers get the best of them. They are 5-0. I think they're 6-0 with an easy win over Boston College, who they have not lost to since 2010. And then they host SMU. SMU, the rematch of last year's ACC championship game, which was an absolute thriller. Clemson winning 34-31. Sending them to the college football playoff. SMU still getting into the college football playoff too, despite that loss. The Tigers nearly blew it, right? 31-14 lead. Ended up needing that field goal as time expired to get the win. But this SMU team, once again, is a contender in the ACC. Kevin Jennings returns as one of the best quarterbacks, not just in the conference, but I'd say in the country. But they lose a lot more, too. They lose 9 guys up front on defense. They lose their top rusher. They lose their top 2 pass catchers. So can Kevin Jennings do all this by himself? Who's going to step up and be other playmakers for the Mustangs outside of their quarterback? Factor all those questions in, plus having to come to Death Valley, which, as we know, is one of the most difficult places to play in the country. And I don't think the Mustangs have enough. SMU wins that game. Back-to-back wins over SMU. They are 7-0. Coming out of the bye week, let's make them 9-0 with back-to-back home games against Duke and Florida State. They should cruise past Duke, I think. I think they're going to be a solid team. Should be a bowl team, but not nearly enough, again, to come on the road and beat Clemson. I just don't see it happening. Only the 3rd meeting between these two teams in the last 16 years. It's homecoming for the Tigers. They're off the week of rest. Don't see an upset there happening. Playing Florida State, They won by 16 points last year. Clemson did. They've won 8 of the last 9. That lone loss in that 9-game stretch was back in 2023 here in Death Valley when they lost 31-24 in overtime. But of course, that was a year that Florida State was dang near unstoppable until Jordan Travis got hurt. Yes, the Seminoles are certainly going to be improved. I don't expect another 2-10 season. I think they will be much more competitive. I think this transfer class for Mike Norvell actually pans out, but not nearly enough to win in Death Valley. I'm still not completely sold on Thomas Castellanos. I'm curious to see if Florida State is better in the trenches than they were last year. We thought they'd be solid up front last year, and they weren't. We're saying that again now, but, I do have my doubts. So all that being said, yes, the Seminoles are more competitive, and they held their own against Clemson llast year. Let's be honest, only 16 points, not horrible. But I just don't see them pulling off this massive, massive upset this late in the year. Clemson is 9-0, looking really, really good. But look at those final 3 games. Exclude Furman here. Road games at Louisville and South Carolina are going to be very, very tough. So while they're looking great, while they haven't taken a loss at all, while they're pretty much a lock for the ACC championship at this point, because even if they lose to Louisville, they're going to get in with one conference loss. The playoff hopes are not locked away yet. A first-round bye is not locked away yet. So still a lot left to do here. This game at Louisville really concerns me. Really concerns me. Because if you look back at last year, Louisville came into Clemson, came into Death Valley and won 33-21. The Cardinals had 210 rushing yards on 27 carries. They torched this Clemson defense. That was a 7.8 yards per carry mark, guys. Clemson was giving up nearly 8 yards per carry every time Louisville ran the ball. Now, they're going on the road to face the Cardinals, a place where under Jeff Brom, they are 10-3, and Jeff Brom is a head coach everywhere he's been, 46-22 at home. So we always have this team ready to play. On a Friday night, mind you, which is midweek games, or those Friday night games, always very tough, always very tricky, with a very experienced squad. I think they could arguably have better quarterback play with Miller Moss coming in. They've got all their top rushers coming back, namely Isaac Brown. Strong defense with 8 starters back. I'm going to pick Louisville to win this game. I'm going to pick Cardinals to pull off the upset, just like they did last year. This, to me, is ripe for an upset. All the conditions are there. An experienced Louisville team who plays well at home on a Friday night. A Clemson team who is due for a loss at this point. Because let me tell you, I don't think they're going undefeated. I really don't. They're losing somewhere to someone. And this Louisville team, I think, is good enough to pull off that win. So give me their first loss of the year late in November. They fall to the Cardinals for the second year in a row. Bounce back with a win against Furman. Naturally, they're 10-1. And then the big rivalry game on the road at South Carolina. On the road at South Carolina, who they lost to last year. That Cade Klubnik, what was it, a tip pass that got intercepted when they were in field goal range. They lost 17-14. Without that, Clemson probably sends that game to overtime. Who knows what happens? Despite South Carolina winning last year, despite as high as people are on South Carolina this year, I like Clemson to win this game, even though it's on the road. Ironically, the Tigers have played better lately on the road at South Carolina than they have at home. They've won their last 5 on the road against the Gamecocks, and in that 5-game period, they've allowed a total of 20 points. 20 points in the last 4, I should say. 20 total points to the Gamecocks in the last 4 games there. That shows how strong this defense is. I think this defense is now stronger than last year. I think this defense contains the North Sellers. You saw some massive runs from Sellers last year against Clemson. That's still fresh on their mind. I don't think they're going to let that happen again. I don't think Tom Allen allows that to happen again. I look at this. I think Clemson owns the offensive advantage. I think they own the defensive advantage. The one thing they don't own is home field advantage. That clearly has not bothered them in years past. It is an in-state rivalry game. There'll be plenty of Tiger fans that show up there. I think South Carolina gives them all they've got. But I do think Clemson ultimately is the better team, knowing that they need this win to completely solidify their spot in the college football playoff. Because you lose that, you're 10-2. You lose the ACC championship, it could be tricky. But ultimately, they're going to get that win. I've got Clemson finishing the year at 11-1. The lone loss on the road at Louisville. Now, maybe you do think they're going to go 10-2. I mean, LSU is a losable game. Georgia Tech's a losable game. Don't sleep on North Carolina. I really don't think they're going to lose to SMU at home, so that home field advantage is going to be massive there. Louisville, South Carolina, very losable games as well. So maybe you've got them losing 2 games there. I just can't go that far. I really have that much faith in this team and this coaching staff. To me, this is a true national title contender. The Tigers will win 11 games. They will go back to the ACC championship. Regardless if they win or lose that, they will be back in the college football playoff, and they do have a legitimate shot to win the whole dang thing. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. Do not miss out on those. Do not miss out on our weekly newsletters, also on thegridironexpert.com. Go check it out. Become a member of our GE Nation today. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.